Breaking news, the Houthis have fired a ballistic missile that hit the compound of Ben Gurion Airport.
נגיד שכרגע מגיעות אלינו התמונות מזירת נמל התעופה בן גוריון, רואים עשן מתאמר ככל הנראה מחלקי רסיסים שנפלו במרחב הזה. כאמור, לפני זמן קצר אזעקות באזור המרכז, והנה התוצאה. כרגע בשטח בנס אין נפגעים.
There has been a dramatic increase in Houthi missile attacks against Israel in the last few days. This missile, unlike the other missiles, the vast majority of them fired from Yemen, was not intercepted by Israel's missile defenses. The IDF reports that they used both the Arrow 3 missile defense system and the American THAAD system, and both systems failed to intercept this missile. And the Houthis just a short while ago, through the Al-Mayadeen network, which is based in Lebanon, it's affiliated with Hezbollah, put out a statement that the rocket that was fired today to Ben Gurion Airport is a new rocket. The Houthis have developed rockets and strategic weapons that are capable of circumventing the missile defense systems and radar. They have also developed weapons for their own air defenses, and they are currently developing hypersonic missiles that are advanced in terms of quantity and quality. That's translation from the Arabic from Al-Mayadeen in Lebanon. Now, this could be a whole bunch of hot air. It could be the Houthis just flexing their muscles. They frequently claim to have capabilities that they don't have. They might have just gotten lucky and had their missile get through. We will wait for further reports to find out more, but it is very concerning that this ballistic missile fired at Ben Gurion Airport, perhaps the most strategic target in the state of Israel, was not intercepted. You can see the crater where the missile hit. That's clearly not a crater formed by any kind of shrapnel. This missile actually did hit. As a result of all this, many airlines that had recently in the last few months started flying to Israel again have now canceled all their flights, including large airlines like Lufthansa and Swiss Air, but also many of the other smaller airlines. And this is something that Israel's been suffering from since the beginning of the October 7th war, where the major airlines stopped flying in and out of Israel, with the exception of the United Arab Emirates. Emirates continue to fly, as well as, of course, the Israeli airline El Al. But now we have the major airlines backing out again from flying to Israel. And let me explain something so important about Ben Gurion Airport. Israel's a small country. We only have one airport, one real airport. There's a very small airport in Eilat that just takes flights coming down from Ben Gurion Airport, but there's really only one international airport, and that means that an attack on our airport is not just an attack on an airport. If Ben Gurion Airport is shut down, if Ben Gurion Airport is damaged beyond usability, it really means that Israel is under siege. We're surrounded by hostile enemies, and the only real way in and out of the country is through the airport. So an attack on the airport is extremely strategic, and Israel is currently saying today that there are plans for retaliation, although they're being sensitive to the fact that the Americans are currently attacking the Houthis on a daily basis. Let's pull back the camera a little bit and talk about the airport and this attack. This is a missile that was fired from hundreds of miles away in Yemen and managed to make contact with Ben Gurion Airport. Ben Gurion Airport sits in the lowlands just outside of Tel Aviv to the east, meaning towards the hills of Judea and Samaria. Israel, from the coast till Judea and Samaria, at its narrowest, is only 9 miles wide. It gets a little bit wider as you go down, as you go further south, but it is a very narrow strip. And when you're in Samaria, here on the screen you're seeing now footage that was taken from standing atop a hilltop in Samaria, just in the middle of Samaria, looking out towards Tel Aviv. So in the foreground, you see an Israeli town. The airport is located in that valley. And then in the distance, you can see Tel Aviv, and you can even see the Mediterranean on a clear day from that spot. My point here is that whoever controls this high ground in Samaria can fire at Israeli towns, Israeli cities, and the Israeli airport and the center of Israeli life in Tel Aviv with some simple rockets. A hostile regime that would be ruling in Samaria could very easily attack the Israeli airport, shut it down, and attack the people of Israel. And I bring this up because today is the final day of voting in something called the World Zionist Congress elections. I've mentioned it a couple times before in some earlier videos, but basically the worldwide Jewish community for over 100 years holds elections every 5 years to allocate Jewish communal resources for Zionist education and Zionist programming around the world. The Zionist movement has for a very long time been dominated by the left. Right now, there's an election going on for the 152 American seats in the World Zionist Congress, and the left-wing parties, the left-wing Jewish establishment leadership in the United States is still, to this day, as of just a few months ago, still calling for a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria, still calling for a two-state solution, still opposed to Israeli presence in the heartland of the people of Israel in Judea and Samaria. And this is a perfect day to bring this up, that surrendering the high ground, surrendering Samaria and Judea, surrendering those hills is putting the entire state of Israel at existential risk. And even if we were to come to some sort of accommodation with the Arabs, with the so-called Palestinians, with the Palestinian Authority, we would be putting the entire nation of Israel at risk. If a ballistic missile could make contact with our airport fired from Yemen, just imagine the damage that could be done by a hostile regime in the hills of Judea and Samaria, literally overlooking our airport and overlooking Tel Aviv. There is no more important time to make our statement. The concept of a so-called two-state solution, the concept of a Palestinian state, must be utterly rejected once and for all. If you haven't done so yet, please go right now, today, May 4th is the final day. Please go to Israel365action.com. That's Israel365action.com and follow the instructions there on the website to vote in the World Zionist Congress elections. Our slate, the Israel 365 Action Slate, is the only slate that has put first and foremost the opposition to any call for a Palestinian state, for any ceding of Israeli authority in Judea and Samaria. So go to Israel365action.com right now and vote to secure the future of the people and land of Israel.